What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. A little bit different this week. We got one of my old friends from high school, William Snoddy, there in the bottom right corner. Known this dude for a long time. We went to the same elementary school, same middle school, same high school. We were Boy Scouts together. He's now married. He's got a kid on the way. Big next few weeks for William. What's going on, man?
Hey, nothing. Next few months or whatever, I got my kid coming on the way, May 17th. It's going good. Anniversary as well coming up, May. And hopefully the NHL playoffs, Cap's doing some work. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, and you're a Giants fan, which is why we wanted to bring you on, given the recent trade to acquire Alec Ogletree. But we'll get into that a little bit later. And as always, my co-host, James Connolly, there on the left. What's going on, man?
What's up, dude?
Mountaineers play tonight.
I know.
Going to be important.
Where's that tournament at?
Kansas City. We beat them twice. Hard to beat a team 3 times. All right, but let's...
You know my thought on that. That's bullshit.
Hey, it happened today with Oklahoma State and Kansas. They swept Kansas, and then they lost today.
You're a better team. You're a better team.
But let's get right down to it. Our first topic is actually not sports related. It was a story from last week. So last week I said, or not last week, yesterday I said we weren't going to do an intro song this week. And the reason for that being this first topic, I will explain it, and here it is. So last week we had some problems with our video. When I was uploading our podcast, I was doing my usual routine to promote it. I was copying and pasting the link into the Instagram page profile so I could say the link is in the bio, all that stuff. And when I checked the bio, the link came up and I looked at it and it said, let me see. Basically, the video was blocked. And I was like, well, shoot, maybe that's a mistake. And so I went on my laptop, said the exact same thing. Video had been removed from YouTube, whatever. So I was seriously concerned, and then I checked our email, and I have the email right here from YouTube, and it says, "Hi, Rambling Men Sports Podcast. Due to a copyright claim, your YouTube video has been blocked. This means that your video can no longer be played on YouTube." And it was right. Video title was Rambling Men Episode 10, and then the copyrighted content was Ramble On by Led Zeppelin. Claimed by WMG, which is a real company that I assume owns the rights to that song. Honest to goodness, when I read that, I about shit my pants. I was like, oh my God, are we going to get into trouble for this thing? I texted you, James. All you did was laugh. You were of no help. Then I texted my dad, and then he really wasn't of much help either. All he said was, this is a good thing. That means you're getting recognition, which he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong with that logic, but it was still pretty scary. But then I was reassured in the email. Just all that it said was that our video was blocked. Don't really know what the deal was. I uploaded it again. Didn't remove the song. It's still up there. Episode 10. I don't really know what the deal was with it. But just to be safe, we're not doing an intro song this week. Maybe not next week. I don't really know. If you want... Any of our listeners, if you want us to do a different intro song, feel free to let us know. But I really like Ramble On, actually. I think it fits us well. What do you guys think of that story?
I'm telling you, all you got to do is put that we don't own the rights to the song in the description, and you're fine.
I could do that, yeah.
I see it all the time.
I think you only play the first, 10 seconds of it?
Yeah, we play the first 15, 20 seconds, something like that.
Take the whole video down.
Yeah. And then, like I said, my dad actually was talking to me and said, since we're not making money off this thing, that's like really the worst thing they could do because they can't sue us for it. We're not making any money. So, but that's an interesting story. At least I think so. But, so we're going to start now getting into the sports talk, specifically the NFL offseason. And William and James, I always keep forgetting, your team's had a big week this week with the Eagles acquiring Michael Bennett from the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants acquiring linebacker Alec Ogletree. from the Rams. William, since you're our guest, I want to get your take on it first.
Yeah, well, I think the Rams trading Robert Quinn as well as Alec Ogletree, I think they're just trying to clear out a lot of cap space.
Agreed.
Probably just to sign Sammy Watkins. Because, he's definitely – his numbers haven't been great, but he's definitely not somebody you just let walk, And I think the Giants easily win this trade because, we're losing Kennard, Casillas, and Keenan Robinson. We're keeping B.J. Goodson, but we really needed a linebacker. Linebacker, I think, has always been our weakest link. With J. Pierre-Paul, Tomlinson, Vernon, and Jenkins, Collinson, we've got every position stacked except linebacker, and I think this is a huge win. And our defensive coordinator, Feshner, is gonna. I think he's definitely thrilled with this.
And did you say they were moving to a 3-4 defense earlier today?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. They're going to do it because
I looked that
up.
4-3. I looked that up, and Bruce Arians, who was the head coach in Arizona, where this defensive coordinator came from, said it's not going to be a 3-4 defense. It's probably going to be some sort of hybrid like what New England runs. But yeah, Ogletree, I agree, was needed. They don't have a ton of depth at linebacker, and they have a pretty good middle linebacker, so moving him to outside, which is pretty much his natural position, is really going to help. Or inside, whichever defense they choose to run, is going to help. James, what do you think?
I think it was a good trade for both sides, to be honest with you. I don't think anyone really won or lost. And it's honestly kind of rare when a trade's advantageous to both sides. I think, like William said, I think obviously they're trying to clear some cap space, but I think they're just trying to get younger at the same time. New coach, trying to stockpile some draft picks, get some young talent, brought Marcus Peters in, trying to ship some old players out, get some young players in to build with. And I don't really blame them. I think even if they have to take a step back this season coming up, to take a couple steps forward in 2020 or 2019, I think it might be worth it. I think Sean McVay's doing the smart thing, to be honest with you. Get the expensive old players out, get the cheap new players in. They're obviously, people keep saying that the Eagles have to worry about Carson Wentz mega deal coming. Goff has one coming too.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Exact same time as Wentz.
I forgot to comment on that, William. You were saying that we're trying to clear cap space. I 100% agree with that. I don't think it's necessarily to sign Sammy Watkins, though. Aaron Donald is a free agent next year, and Jared Goff the year after that. So I really think they're trying to get a long-term deal with Aaron Donald this year. That way they don't have to deal with it next year and Jared Goff at the same time.
Maybe Sammy Watkins too, though.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it, but I think Donald is the bigger priority.
Agreed.
But James, your Eagles got Michael Bennett. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Anytime you can add a good player for what I feel like was cheap. I mean, Marcus Johnson literally caught 5 balls last year. He's not an integral part of the offense. I
had never heard of him until.
Exactly. I don't like trading away another draft pick, but it's like I really feel like Philly's taking a page out of New England's book and really valuing established veteran players for short-term deals over unproven draft picks. So I don't really blame them. I think they're really playing on their window right now before they have to pay Carson Wentz. I think they're trying to, win now, win the next couple seasons before they have to pay him, and then they'll maybe start a little bit of a rebuild from there. A lot of players are going to be old and walking by then. They're going to have to, build from the ground up. But they're really trying to, Howie's really going for it again.
William.
Yeah, I definitely think the Eagles won this trade as well. Even though Bennett's kind of a problem off the field, as everybody can agree with that. But I think the Legion of Boom, I think it's peaked, and Seahawks are just trying to get what money they can for him left. The Seahawks, they were 20th in rushing last year with 114 yards per game. So I think Bennett really wasn't doing it like he usually does. So I think they're just trying to trade him while his value's still high. Yeah,
I agree. I thought you were going to make this point, James, but you didn't. But I'll go ahead and do it. Anytime you can find depth at the defense on the defensive line is always a need.
Do it.
Do it.
And let me add, I already said this off camera, but the NASCAR package on third down. Good luck. Eric Barnett is going to have over 10 sacks.
Is Bennett going to play inside? Have they said? No. Bennett, is he going to play inside and take Vinny Curry's spot?
No, he'll play outside, inside. Schwartz throws them all around. I love Jim Schwartz. And he we need that defensive line because he doesn't blitz a lot.
Curry played inside or outside, or did he just play everywhere?
Curry plays DN. Curry plays strictly DN.
For whatever reason, I thought he was interior.
Sometimes they would throw Brandon Graham on the inside with Fletcher Cox, and then they would throw either Derek Barnett or Chris Long on the outside.
That's definitely going to be an interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
look for sure.
The best part is, I saw this today. Michael Bennett had 6.5 sacks his first 8 games, and he only had 2 sacks his last 8 games. Obviously, that means he's getting old. He had too many snaps. He played 900 snaps last year. He's not even going to play half that.
Yeah.
He might get 400 snaps this year. He'll have probably the same amount of sacks and half the pass rush attempts because he's, you know what I mean? He's going to be nice and fresh. Still got a good player at 33. Just can't really, play as often as you used to and as hard as you used to. But if you can just go in there, select times, stay nice and fresh, it's going to be a very effective pass rusher next year. I think the Eagles can have 3 7+ sack guys next year. I don't see anything, stopping them from doing that. I think Barnett, Graham, and Cox can all get over 7 sacks.
William, as a Giants fan, you really need to hope they upgrade the offensive line.
Yeah, there's rumors we might sign Norwell from the.
That'd be huge.
The Panthers. That would be smart.
Yeah.
You guys should. Got that tackle from the Patriots who's hitting free agency.
Mm-hmm. That'd be good too. Solder.
Yeah, I think talks about him, and then with the draft, I'll get into that. Maybe Quentin Nelson or something. We'll get into that.
That's some good interior alignment.
Oh yeah.
You guys
But so one more trade that happened. Actually, it was actually more last week. It actually happened right after I uploaded our podcast last week. I got an alert that the Rams traded Robert Quinn to the Dolphins, and the same thing happened a few weeks prior with Marcus Peters. I was like, son of a bitch! Why do these trades keep going down when I upload these videos? But I want to get y'all's thoughts on that. William, you go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, just the Rams trying to clear up some cap space. And the Dolphins just trying to acquire more on the defensive end because I know there's talk Sue might hit free agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're just trying to get something on that D line. I mean, the Dolphins, they were mediocre in the rushing defense. I think they're 14th in the league. So I think it's a good trade. And then they got a mid-round pick, right?
I never found anything official, but it's reportedly a mid-round pick, a 3rd or a 4th.
Okay.
James.
It's okay kind of pick.
Yeah.
The Dolphins suck, dude. I don't even like talking about them. They're just a revolving door. This is just a stopgap signing, expensive old player. I mean, Robert Quinn's still a good player, but it's like, dude, get younger. You know what I mean? Stop doing the same thing over and over again.
I actually really like that point.
Tannehill's not. Dude, they do the same. A lot of teams in the league do this. They just want to be relevant so bad that they just do barely enough. Dude, if you saw that teams can turn it around really quick in football. I mean, just rebuild the team. You can rebuild an entire roster in 2 seasons.
Yeah, I agree. And I think
it's not baseball or basketball.
Yeah, I think that's
you
actually.
You can gut your team.
I think the Eagles can prove that you can turn it around.
Yeah.
2 seasons.
Saints did too. Saints had a good defense out of nowhere. How did that happen?
Nobody knows. It's still a mystery.
They've done an excellent job of drafting and developing the last few years. They've drafted really well. But yeah, I liked your point. This makes a little bit of sense. Cam Wake's getting a little bit older. They wanted to get somebody who's just as good, just a little bit younger. And now that defensive line, if they keep Sue, that defensive line should be pretty good. I doubt they're able to keep both their contracts, though. I think Sue's probably going to be released. But you got Quinn, you got Charles Harris, who we didn't see much of, but they drafted very high last year, and Cam Wake still on that defensive line. It's not a terrible move. I just don't understand it because they're in terrible shape cap room wise.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think them, Philly, I can't remember the other team, are in the negatives right now. They really have to clear up cap space, and now maybe they're just banking on releasing Sue and trading away Jarvis Landry, and that's how they're going to clear up the cap room to take on Quinn's contract. But for right now, that makes no sense why they would take on that deal.
Pittsburgh is the other team in the red right now.
That's right. That's who it is. It's Pittsburgh. But so just some other offseason headlines so far. This actually happened today. The Tennessee Titans cut running back DeMarco Murray. Little surprising. I don't know about what you guys think.
A little bit expensive.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't see that coming, that they just cut him. They didn't try and shop him or anything.
We talked about that a few months ago, actually, Shane.
Did we?
We both agreed that they were going to cut him this offseason months ago.
Maybe I said I wouldn't be shocked, but yeah, here I am.
He was just an ineffective player this year. It's just he's getting old. I mean, he's had a lot of carries in his career. It's just,
And Derrick Henry looked pretty
definitely
good.
not worth the money that they're paying him.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Where was I? This was reported today. Seattle Times reporting that cornerbacks Richard Sherman and Jeremy Lane are expected to be released later this week, 24 to 48 hours to be exact. William, this kind of piggybacks off what you just said with the Legion of Boom being peaked. I agree. Seattle, I think, is really blowing it up. The next headline, Seahawks are reportedly shopping around Earl Thomas. I think it's easy to say that they're blowing up that defense and try to build it more around Russell Wilson.
It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm surprised they're just going to cut him and not try and trade him or get something for him. Because Sherman is still, he's probably not what he used to be, but he's definitely like a veteran and can give pointers to the younger guys or, coach them or anything like that. So, trade and acquire is what the Seahawks are doing, or should do at least.
Yeah, that is a little bit surprising. Maybe he does have some issues. Maybe they know some teams. Well, didn't they try to trade him last year, and nobody really bit? So maybe that was the deal. They know teams aren't going to bite on him.
It's me.
It's
It'll
you.
go out in a second. My girlfriend's burning dinner downstairs, so. But literally, I'm not even kidding. That wasn't a joke. Who were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Richard Sherman.
Oh, he was always a player who used more, positioning and the other players on the field to be good. Richard Sherman's not going to be that good coming off of an Achilles tear.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Is
yeah.
he 30?
He's got to be up there. Yeah.
He's not going to be worth what someone's going to pay him. Someone's going to pay him that, guaranteed.
Yeah, you actually made a good point. I completely forgot about his Achilles injury. So other headlines. Former Texans linebacker Brian Cushing met with the Seahawks. That's probably them just trying to get somebody pretty good and try to keep that defense somewhat viable. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. If the Seahawks sign him, good for them. Try and sign him cheap. I haven't really been a huge fan of Cushing. He's been good at the beginning, but kind of not the same for me.
Cushing's a roid head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bleacher Report reporting that Denver and San Francisco have had trade talks involving Aqib Talib, but he prefers to be released, and the Patriots are his top destination. That's not really that surprising, James. I think you mentioned this offseason, or maybe at some point the last few months, that you thought Aqib Talib would be out of Denver this offseason.
Yeah. Aqib Talib is still a damn good cornerback. And he's really underrated funny. Still. I take him. If I can get him on a 1-year deal for cheap, or even a 2-year deal for cheap, I'd sign him. Why not?
What's funny?
Bill Belichick likes veteran players that he knows that he can trust out there. If he can get them for cheap, he'll go get them.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers should definitely try and get him. Just get that team is getting very good. They just signed a Goodwin back for I think 4 years. So I think the 49ers, that team's getting up there, and that defense have a lot of potential if they sign to lead.
I agree. I meant to say this, but I kept getting interrupted. But Mike Daniels, the defensive tackle from Green Bay, I was watching him on NFL Network. I can't remember what show he was on, but he went on the show, and they asked him, what do you want Green Bay to do this offseason? He said, go after Aqib Talib. And I think it's funny, a week later, Denver's thinking about getting rid of him. So it's funny how that kind of stuff works out.
You guys should go get Sue, Shane.
No. I'd rather die.
Why?
He doesn't fit the defense. He's a 4-3.
Defense. What are you talking about?
He's a 4-3 defensive tackle. We run a 3-4.
He's a truck. He can play any defense.
He is a terrible human being.
You know what? I would take if I would let anybody win my team a Super Bowl.
Moving on.
You get personal fouls. Come on.
Moving on. Kirk Cousins, soon-to-be free agent, has reportedly narrowed his list of destinations to 2 teams, the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets, which leads us to a poll question. And William, I want to get your response first. Where do you think Kirk Cousins will end up?
Kirk Cousins is 99.999% going to the Jets. There is no way the Jets draft another quarterback. It is hilarious how much bad luck they have had with Sanchez. I mean, the first 3 years he went to the AFC Championship twice. Then after that was awful. Y'all's quarterback, Geno Smith, was horrible. He even played for the Giants, and I hated when we signed him. Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg are horrible.
Has Hackenberg even seen the field, or is that Petty?
Petty.
Petty? I don't know.
Yeah, but McCown is also, he's just too old. There's no, he's really old. And Cousins, he's more than proved himself. And then with Cromartie retiring from the Jets and Wilkerson leaving, clears up a lot of space for the Jets to grab Cousins.
James?
Let me first start by saying, if he's smart, what he'll do is sign a 3-ish year deal, maybe slightly less than he could have got with the Jets, with the Vikings, try to win a Super Bowl in his prime really quick. He'll still get a fucking mega deal at 33 years old, and he can go get as much money as he wants after that. He should try to win now. If he goes to the Jets, he's going to retire, maybe never winning a playoff game in his career. But I kind of wanted to get back to this too. The Cousins thing, and I just came to me as a realization a couple days ago. It's starting to annoy me that he's getting he's not that good of a player. I'm sorry, I know his statistics are pretty good. Statistics only tell half the story. He's a below 500 quarterback. Bottom line, he hasn't won 50% of the games in his career.
The disrespect.
He's not worth all this talk. I do think, like you said, I think he's probably around 11 or 12th best quarterback in the league. Big deal. The Jets are talking about giving him $90 million guaranteed. Why? Just so you're not the laughing stock of the league? You're supposed to try to win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Period. That's why you shouldn't be afraid to pull the trigger on somebody. Just do it. Next year, go get it again.
I don't think his contract is going to be Garoppolo. Everyone says that it is, but I don't think the Jets should give more money for Garoppolo.
That's $90 million. Guaranteed is what I saw.
Which is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. It's absurd.
I don't know. I mean, he makes about 20.
Can you imagine signing a piece? Hold on, time out. Can you imagine signing a piece of paper promising, no matter what, that you have to give Kirk Cousins $90 million, no matter what? Kirk Cousins, not Aaron Rodgers, not, you know what I mean? Not Kirk Cousins. You have to give him $90 million, even if he's fucking terrible. No way. No way.
That's a good point. I mean,
they're getting desperate on quarterback because, like I said, they have horrible luck with them. So they're getting desperate.
In my opinion, it goes back to the thing I was talking about earlier. I think they do have to draft another quarterback. Even if they have to trade up to get the guy that they really like in this draft, you have to keep going after it, in my opinion. It is true until you have your quarterback, you can't win a Super Bowl. I mean, the Vikings had the most stacked team in the entire league, and then eventually their quarterback troubles got taken advantage of at the wrong time, when they usually do in the playoffs. You do got to go get your guy. I think if they really Baker Mayfield will probably be sitting there for him. I don't think they should draft him, but who knows? Maybe Baker Mayfield ends up being a superstar, and then you miss him again. You can't be the Browns and keep missing on Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz. You gotta draft the guy.
Yeah.
If he ends up sucking, it's not your fault. He was the highest rated quarterback on the board. You took him.
So you didn't really answer the question. Where do you think he ends up?
I said the Vikings.
Oh,
Smart. That's
do you
what he
think-
should do. He should go to the Vikings.
I thought you were just
on
saying-
a 3-year deal.
Okay, I thought you were just saying if he was smart. Okay. I agree. I think it's going to be the Vikings. I think they realize their window is within the next 2 years. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. They got a lot of those young guys about to be free agents in the next 2 to 3 years. I really think they're going to try to spend some money, go out, get Cousins. Maybe that puts them over the top and makes them a viable candidate to win a Super Bowl. But we talked about this last week, James. I don't think, and you agreed with me, I don't think Cousins is really putting any team over the top. He's a nice option to have, but even if the Vikings signed him, do you think they're the favorite in the NFC North?
Yeah.
Do you? I don't, but I'm biased.
I don't think they're the favorite in the NFC, though.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I'm biased. I don't think they would still.
But hold on, you have to think with Kirk Cousins, with Dalvin Cook back, with the whole team coming back, they're going to have a nice team.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
they
that.
end up winning that division. Who knows? But you have to say they're the favorite, though. I mean, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that they're going to win it.
Yeah.
I just think at a certain point, you got to be like, dude, they have the better team. You just have to give it to them besides one player.
That's a fair point. But let's move on.
Do you think they'll have enough money, though, to sign?
They got about 40-some million in cap space.
Never mind then.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, last I checked, they had about $42 million.
Well, if you think about it, they don't have a lot of expensive offensive weapons. Nope. They're all really cheap.
All of their guys are on
guys,
rookie deals. It's like Seattle from a few years ago.
Okay. Fair enough.
So the Steelers franchise tagged Le'Veon Bell this week. And after being placed on the franchise tag, Bell is slated to make over $14 million per year. Basically, would you pay more than that for him to get him to sign a long-term extension? James, you're already shaking your head, but William, we argued about this week, and I could not believe your answer. Go ahead.
I mean, Bell, he is an elite running back. I mean, there's a reason in every fantasy draft ever, in the history of ever, he has been top 3 picked. It's not only because he is an elite running back, but he can also play the wide receiver position. I mean, he doesn't only get screens and passes out in the flat. He can go 20 yards down the field and compete with cornerbacks and safeties. And not a lot of running backs can do that. I mean, he shouldn't get wide receiver money, obviously.
That's already wide receiver money.
Too good for running back money.
That's already wide receiver money. I know Devontae Adams is making about $14 million in his new contract.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I got right here. Okay, last year he had 85 receptions, 655 receiving yards, and then his teammate Martavis Bryant had 50 receptions, 600 receiving yards. I mean, I definitely think $56 million for 4 years.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think $14 million is reasonable for an elite running back. You can get the job.
That was a really solid point. I like that. That kind of swayed me a little bit, but no.
I mean, if he can get 12 or 13, go for it. But if less than that, then I would just keep doing what he's doing. To be honest, I mean, someone else will definitely pay more than that for him.
If this is me, I'm franchising him again, just like the Steelers did. I do think if that's the question, if the question is should they have franchised him, my answer is yes.
No. It was just, would you want him to pay? Would you pay more than that, more than $14 million, to sign him for a long-term deal?
Like per year?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you multiple reasons why. I'll tell you what, because I agree with what he is the best running back in the league. He's not top 3. He's the best running back in the league. He's only 25 years old.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that.
I'm going to tell you multiple things here. He's been suspended twice. Or no, he's been twice?
I think twice,
yeah.
Yeah, been suspended twice. Didn't show up to camp last year. Was talking about his contract before they got beat by the Jaguars in the divisional playoff round.
Showed up late for practice that week, too.
Touches the damn ball every play in that offense. He's just got a lot of touches under him. He's just too much of a risk. Like I said, I would have franchised him again. That's what I would have did. Is he worth $14 million a year over a contract? No. Is he worth $14 million to them this year as a 25-year-old beast? More. He might be worth a $15 million franchise tag this year, but in a deal, absolutely not. I would have franchised him just like they did.
Yeah, William, he actually made a really good point. I don't agree with it. I would not sign him to a long-term deal worth more than $14 million per year. I wouldn't pay more than I wouldn't pay a running back more than $10 million per year, but I could probably understand 12, given like if it's a guy like Le'Veon Bell, given how versatile he is. But I think the next highest paid running back in the NFL is Devontae Graham at like $8.25 million a year. That's just a gigantic leap.
Yeah, Devontae Freeman. I mean, yeah, he's 8.25 million, and so like, 12, 13, I definitely think is reasonable for Le'Veon Bell. I don't think more than 14. I guess no more than 14 is what like I would say.
I could let that slide if granted how good he is and how versatile he is, I could let that kind of contract slide.
Dude, if I had a shitload of cap space like the Browns do sometimes, or like the Jags had a couple years ago, like, yeah, why not? I would.
Yeah. But the Steelers don't have that kind of money. We just said that they're in the red.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but as a smart franchise, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's not going to win you a Super Bowl.
But so to wrap up the rest of these offseason, these NFL offseason headlines, Cowboys franchise tag, DeMarcus Lawrence. I think we're all in agreement that's a smart move. He had 14 and a half sacks last year. And a franchise tag, kind of prove it year, makes a lot of sense with him. He's battled injuries and never had more than 8 sacks before last year, so I think that makes a lot of sense. Jets release defensive lineman Muhammad Wilkerson, and then he visits my Green Bay Packers this week. Not really sure what to make of it. I'd be interested as a Green Bay fan. I'd be interested in that.
Get good players. You can get them, dude.
Yeah, that's true. Patriots released Martellus Bennett. Thank you. I cannot stand the Bennett brothers, especially Martellus Bennett, for the way he screwed over my Packers. Bill signed running back.
They're scumbags, but whatever.
What's that?
They're scumbags. I'll give you that, but he's an Eagle now, so Michael Bennett's my boy. I don't give a shit what he does.
Bill signed running back Chris Ivory after he was released from Jacksonville. Good move. That's a solid number 2 running back behind what's his name, LaShawn McCoy, which is what they needed. Bengals signed defensive lineman Chris Baker after he was released from Tampa. All right. And then
that's my exact response as well. Like, okay.
And then these two happened within the last 2 hours. 49ers and wide receiver Marquise. Hang on, I got an alert on my laptop. Okay. Wide receiver Marquise Goodwin and the 49ers agreed to a 3-year, $20 million extension. Seems like a lot to me but maybe he was a free agent, and in case they didn't get some of the top wide receivers in free agency in the draft, maybe they just locked him up just to have somebody.
You know why?
Why?
Because he came on last year at the end of the year with Jimmy G.
Did he? I didn't even know.
He got a lot of chemistry going. Yeah, look at his when Jimmy G came on the team. Look at what he did. They have a nice little chemistry going. I do agree that's high, but I think that's why they do it.
That's probably necessary. They had a lot of money to spend.
Keep some continuity going.
Yeah. And then Rams beef up the secondary by signing former Packers cornerback Sam Shields. I think that proves Tremaine Johnson's out of town. I don't know what you guys think. But next topic here. Next topic. Former LSU running back, I should say, Darius Geis, reportedly was asked at the NFL Combine if he liked men, and another asked if his mother is a prostitute. I don't even know what to say. I'm going to let y'all take this one.
Go ahead, dude.
Go ahead, William.
There's no need at all to ask that question. That does not at all affect his on-field performance. And that I would be so mad if I was him that they asked that, just because whether or not he is gay, that doesn't affect anything. And then asking if his mom's a prostitute. Who is asking these questions, and who thought, it'd be a great idea? Ask if his mom's a prostitute.
I didn't mention this. I
will
meant
definitely
to.
see if he's a good guy. Like, what?
I didn't mention this. I meant to for the viewers. They asked him that just to see what his reaction would be. But my point, why do you ask a question like that to see what kind of reaction you'd get? Especially when asking about if his mother's a prostitute. that might get you a punch in the face. I know I would consider it if someone asked me if my mother was a prostitute.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it's just a joke, that just doesn't make sense to do that.
James, you got anything?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. Listen to the Calvert podcast on the way home, and he actually made some good points about this, and he swayed my opinion a little less strongly. My opinion on it isn't as strong as it was before. I mean, he made a good point. I'm about to pay a 21-year-old kid, $6, $7, $8 million a year. I'm about to give him, guaranteed money. I want to see what he can handle. It was sort of like you said, just to get a how's he going to react? How's he going to react when fans talk to him like this? When blah 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 talk to him like this? But he said, like you said, that is so. I can even understand the gay thing.
Yeah, I can get that.
Just because it's about you, not the fact that he asked if he's gay, but just ask me anything you want. But when he said, "Is your mom a prostitute?" Obviously, if I was about to go to the NFL, I wouldn't have stood up and punched him in the face, but I would have wanted to. That is the most out of bounds thing you could ever say to somebody. You don't talk about somebody's mom. Everybody knows that. You know that from the time you're like 4 years old that you don't talk about somebody's mom. I thought that shit was fucked up, to be honest with you. Sorry for cursing.
You made a really good point. Ask me anything you want. I really don't have a huge issue with being asked if he's gay. I really don't think anyone would care if he is. I really don't think it'd be a problem in the locker room, but yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. This was supposed to bring some comedy to the show, and I don't think it did.
It wasn't funny, dude. That's not funny.
Yeah, it's really not.
Somebody if their mom's a prostitute when you know she's not. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't. James, you're really going in and out.
Geis's mom, I guarantee.
James, you're kind of losing signal, by the way.
I'm sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
you keep dropping out. But so this leads to a poll question. Do NFL teams take these combine interviews way too seriously? William.
I mean, they obviously need to ask the players personal questions just to kind of get them amped up or see if they can trigger them. But I feel like they could have done better questions. But I mean, yeah, they do need to take them as serious as this. Just wrong question, really.
Yeah. James, you got anything?
I wouldn't say they take it too serious because it is very serious. You're about.
Yeah, we keep losing you.
It is, you don't get a lot of money, but it shouldn't be that personal.
Yeah, you keep losing signal, man. I really don't get much.
We hear the important.
We can hear you a little bit, but yeah. So now I want to get, William, some of your takes on some of the draft. Staying with the draft, I'm going to get your takes on some prospects. Your Giants have the number 2 overall pick in the draft. I know we've gone back and forth about this, and I've actually talked to James about this too, and he laughs at you too. What do you think your Giants will do with that pick?
I think Gettleman will. I mean, I think his first priority is to trade down. I think he'll try and trade that second pick to the Broncos for the 5th.
Fifth, and then the Jets have the 6th.
Try and get that a second round pick, and I think their first priority, they're going to draft Barkley. But if the Browns draft Barkley at number 1, or if he's not available, if he trade down, I think we'll try and go with Nelson. I think that's it.
I told you this week, I'm wavering a lot on it. I used to be, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said 100% the Giants are going to take a quarterback at that spot. I'm not buying it anymore. I think if Barkley is on the board, I think they will take him at number 2.
I mean, Gettleman, and I even agree that Eli Manning has, I think, maybe a year or two at most, outside of his contract. So, 4 years total. I mean, last year with the practice squad, without Odell, Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard for 2 or 3 games, and then I think I got it right here. He averaged about 230 passing runs a game with the practice squad.
I'm laughing at James's reaction.
I mean, 230 with the practice squad. Come on now. Think about
Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have Saquon Barkley or would you rather have Sam Darnold and Sony Michel number 34 overall? Because Sony Michel is at least, 85% as good as he might not be the generational talent, but Sony Michel is going to be a really good freaking running back. Even like you said, you should trade back overtaking Saquon Barkley. I heard some things the other day that really shocked me that I didn't know. He had a few games last year where he averaged under 2 yards a carry. He played his worst in the biggest games against the best competition. Listen, he's going to be a beast in the NFL. His combine was ridiculous. He's going to be an all-pro player. You can have good players all over the place, and Tampa Bay is a perfect testament to this. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't utilize your weapons. Saquon is going to be ineffective. Odell Beckham's going to be ineffective. Evan Ingram's going to be ineffective. And Eli Manning's going to be getting crushed because he can't even move back there. You have to get a quarterback because you will never have the number 2 pick again because the Giants aren't a bad franchise. They're always
now.
Good
To be fair, he didn't say that's what he wanted to do. He thinks that's what he thinks the Giants will do.
Oh, that's true. Well, but I'm saying, answer me this question as a Giants fan. I'm saying, would you rather have Sam Darnold sitting behind Eli Manning for a whole year and gets to come in his sophomore season behind a Hall of Famer, with all that talent, and then you still get Sony Michel, who is going to be a beast, or Nick Chubb, or Ronald Jones, or any of these guys? You know what I mean? Like, there's really good running backs that are going to be there in round 2 that are going to be 85-90% as good as Saquon. Period.
What I think we should do is I think we should trade down, try and get 5th or 6th like normal, and then I think we should go with – I still think we need Nelson. Nelson is the safest. I mean, he is a big – what's he, 6'5", 330, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big
35 bench reps. We talked about that yesterday.
And then hopefully we got that trade down so we have like 2 second-rounder and an extra 3rd round. And I know Shane makes fun of me all the time, but I am a firm believer in Mason Rudolph. I definitely think
you can have him second round.
If you can get him in the second round, that's what I think. That would be a good pick. And then you still got running backs that you can get in the 3rd. I mean, Bo Scarborough, I think he's very underrated in this draft.
Yeah, he looked a lot better at the He did a lot better at the combine than what I thought he'd do. And the guy like Rashad Penny.
He's not as fast than I ever expected. He ran like a 4.5, 40 or something like that.
I think it was like a low 4.5 or a high 4.4. I don't remember. It was a lot better than what I thought.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, so that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. I agree. I think Nelson would be huge for the Giants' offensive line. If they sign Norwell, don't they already have one decent guard deal or something?
I think they're trying to sign Justin Pugh.
Pugh, that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and then I forgot our center's name, but our center has been phenomenal, whatever his name is, with Justin Pugh and then Norwell. And then I think they're going to try and move Eric Flowers back to guard because, I mean, he can't do anything to tackle. He gets beat.
I think that would be huge because then that would really bolster the run game, really bolster the interior of the offensive line and then help the run game.
Yep.
So that's kind of – I think we're all in agreement there. William, you're an Auburn fan. I want to know which Auburn prospects you think could make good pros.
I mean, obviously as an Auburn fan, I got to say Daniel Carlson. The
kicker.
SEC,
gotta love the specialists.
SEC all-time leader, yeah, kicker for 4 years. Probably the favorite on Auburn. Like he is the most dependable person. The only thing though is with Aguayo for the Florida State, which is a huge disappointment. So I think Carlson will be a day 3 pick, but I do think that he will be drafted.
How about Kerryon Johnson? I know you haven't been very high on him.
I don't think that he's going to pan out. Same with Cameron Artis-Payne. Everyone thought he was amazing, and I called that as well, that he wouldn't. I mean, he's a good athlete, but he's just not a running back, a good running back.
How about one guy that got a lot of hype at the Combine is Carlton Davis.
Yeah, I saw his 40 was pretty decent, and I mean, The only thing, though, with Carlton Davis is when he's beat, he'll hold. He'll just drag you to the ground or shove you out of bounds if he's beat. So not really a huge – I mean, he's a great cornerback. But, I mean, when he's beat, it's always pass interference.
Kind of smart.
In college,
it's smart, but
no, I know what you mean. Too many penalties. I get you.
Because college it's 15 yards, but then the NFL spot out.
They might change that this offseason, by the way. I saw that.
I hate that.
I don't think they should. I think it should be spot on foul.
I think it's
I
more.
don't either. That's absurd.
I think that's far more entertaining when it's spot of the foul. Are there any other Auburn players? Those are the only three that I know of.
I think that's really it. It's Carlson, Carrion, and Carlton Davis. There might be one that I'm forgetting, and I'm sure Steven will blast me for it, but I can't remember.
He's referring to Steven, James, the guy we had on last time.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and move on. There was one more question. Let's go ahead and ask it. Are there any – I don't know how closely you follow the draft, William. Obviously, me and James follow it very closely. But what prospects do you like? I know we just asked what Auburn prospects you like, but now which prospects in the draft in general do you like?
I mean, obviously I've got to go with Griffin. I mean, the amount – I think what he did – how many reps did he – 21? Was it
20?
Something like that.
21. And I mean –
He did 21.
And then his 40 was like a 4.45 or something like that? Or?
No, it was – we talking about Shaquem Griffin? The guy with one hand?
No, the 4.3.
Yeah, he ran a 4.3.
That's what. Well, yeah, and it's like fast. I mean, he's going to be good, especially like he's got a great work ethic, a great story, and then wherever he goes, obviously like a one-handed NFL player who is dominating at the level is going to definitely get some fan base and inspiration. So I mean, that's my number one guy. Ride or die is Griffin.
Yeah. I'm really cheering for him. I like him as a prospect. I think he could be a very good, like I said, kind of cover linebacker, kind of like Quan Alexander or Deion Jones. Some of those LSU linebackers. I think he could be really good. But so now we're going to move on to college basketball. It's March Madness is not quite there yet, but it's championship week. Still pretty exciting stuff. The Big Ten played their tournament last week. Michigan won the tournament. Joe Lunardi now has them as a projected 3 seed. What'd you say, James? Damn it. All right. All right. Some other headlines. 12-seeded Boston College defeated Georgia Tech and NC State to advance to the quarterfinals, but they lost today. Notre Dame upset Virginia Tech to advance to the ACC quarterfinals and kept its NCAA tournament hopes alive. Trae Young in Oklahoma bounced in the first round. There he is.
Hey.
What happened? Can you hear us? I don't know what's going on. I'll just continue. Trae Young in Oklahoma. Well, what's going on? God damn it.
There it is.
Okay. All right. Trae Young, Oklahoma bounced in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. The Sooners are 0-10 in road/neutral games since January 1st. Kansas forward Udoka Azubuike will miss the Big 12 tournament. James, we follow WVU Hoops. That is huge because they don't have a lot of size. I think that really benefits West Virginia if we can get our head up out of our ass. Clemson and Virginia won today. They advanced to the ACC semifinals. Is that right? Yeah, semifinals. I know you're not going to like this, William. Colin Sexton's buzzer beater gets Alabama the win over Texas A&M, advances to the quarterfinals to face Auburn. I remember you actually texted our group message after A&M went up late with about 4 seconds left, and you said, "Suck it, Bama." You know, you're running your mouth, and then Sexton goes right down the court and hits a buzzer beater.
I saw it, and I was just like that.
Like
I was just refreshing the group me, just like I'm waiting for Taylor to come in and just start talking.
I remember I didn't watch the game, and I was away from my phone at that time. I can't remember what I was doing. And I got back, and I saw your message. It said, "Suck it, Bammers," and then the next thing I see is, "God damn it."
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I was really pulling for Texas A&M on that one.
Iron Ball, always fun. And then in the Big 12, Kansas and Kansas State advance to the Big 12 semifinals. Will face each other tomorrow. James, our Mountaineers are tonight. Who do you like? You think we got a good chance?
We should beat them rather handily, I think. I think Javon Carter's going to play. Javon Carter's going to handle the rock a lot more. He's going to play more minutes from here on out. He's a senior. He probably won't go drafted. I think he'll go play overseas or something. He might get drafted second round. He can play good defense and shoot. Somebody might grab him second round, but
a lot of guys have him drafted in the first round.
He's going to score. I think Carter scores 20 plus tonight, and I think we win.
Do you think we win the Big 12 tournament? I actually picked us to win.
No, I don't.
Just my reasoning was just, if let's pretend we get to the championship and face Kansas, you're not going to beat Bob Huggins 3 times in a row in one season. That's just my opinion. But so this leads us to a poll question: which Power 5 regular season conference champion is most likely to win its tournament? Also, obviously, keep in mind the Big Ten played last week, so they're not included. But Arizona, Auburn, Kansas, and Virginia. William, what's your take? I know you don't follow a lot of college basketball, but
obviously, I'm going to say Auburn. I mean, the team's just clicking, and I definitely think it's going to be Auburn.
I think Virginia is going to lose to Duke. I think Auburn's going to lose to somebody. No offense, man. I think they might lose to Kentucky or somebody. Kentucky won, right?
They got if Kentucky wins, they would play Kentucky.
Okay, and I see that being a loss. And now after seeing that Kansas lost one of their big guys, it might be Arizona.
I agree. I mean, who in
Kansas, but
who in the Pac-12 is going to beat Arizona? Maybe USC. I agree. I think it's going to be Arizona. Auburn, you say they're clicking, William, but they actually finished like 1-3 to end the regular season. I probably would put Kansas 2 even without their big man. But Virginia's a team, I don't care how good they are, I'm not picking them when it counts in March Madness.
I don't know, man. They have the best defense by a mile in the country.
They've had that like every year the last 4 years, and they don't make runs. I'm not picking them to win it all, not to make the Final Four. So this next topic, what's that? All right, never mind. So next topic, we wanted to do this last week, but unfortunately, James, you couldn't be here. But Philadelphia sports, Flyers, and 76ers, which is funny because James, you're a Flyers fan. William is a Washington Capitals fan. They are in a tight race in the Metropolitan Division right now. So this should
Who's
be
up?
What's that?
Who's up?
I think Pittsburgh just took the league last night.
Yep.
But I think Pittsburgh's in first with like 81 points. Washington's in second with 80, and I think Philly's in third with 79. So they're all within a point. And Philly just took the lead on Boston 1-0. So if they beat my Bruins, they would jump up into a tie with first. But so to get back to the topic, Flyers and 76ers are 26-2 since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. James, you're from that area. I want to get your take first.
I mean, I love seeing Philly do well. That's always cool. The reason I think it's cool that we're doing well and the teams are sort of, young right now and everything like that, I think it's very attractive to free agents right now. I already told you Mike Trout's going to be a Philly within the next 2 or 3 years. So I'm telling you.
You've said that since we were at WVU.
Yeah, he is, dude. He loves the Eagles. He loved the Phillies growing up. That's his team. We can pay him max dollars. He can come home and chill at his fucking house. He's going to come play for the Phillies. Go ahead and ask your poll question because I actually think it's really funny.
Okay. William, you got anything to add, or do you just want me to go straight to the poll question?
Eagles definitely amped up Philly sports, but it's definitely coming to an end. Flyers lost to the Panthers and the Hurricanes 4-1. They lost to the Penguins.
Yeah, they've actually lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, they lost to the Lightning in the shootout. Flyers are going downhill. Granted, they didn't have Wayne Simmons, but I definitely think it's slowly diminishing, and Philly's going back to what they do, and that's lose.
All right, so we'll let that slide. But the poll question, have the Eagles changed the perception of Philadelphia and turned it into a championship city after winning the Super Bowl? I usually let the guests go first, but since this still involves Philly, I'll let James go first.
No, it really is just too soon. One more, like maybe if they repeat it or something, and the Sixers are getting really. I think the Sixers will be a championship caliber team, whether they'll win one or not in the next 3 years. Embiid and Simmons both in their mid-20s. They'll be a very good team. They'll be attracted to free agents. I do think out of all the major sports cities, they are in the best shape long term right now, though. Like,
Boston?
Take that for what it's worth. I mean, what that means, whether they'll even win one more Super Bowl championship, whatever, who knows? But I think they have some pretty young teams. The Phillies have a lot of prospects right now, even though they're still going to be bad for a couple years. I didn't know the Flyers are apparently pretty decent. And the Sixers are a really good young team. Really good young team.
I disagree. I still think it's the city of Boston is in the best shape for the long term. Maybe not in football, but
the Patriots are going to be terrible in 2 years.
I said maybe not in football. But if, in all seriousness, next year, would you be shocked? I wanted to do this as a segment at some point, but would you be shocked at all if the Patriots or the Celtics, maybe not the Celtics, but the Red Sox or the Bruins all won a championship within the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, I would.
You would be shocked? Not
all of them?
Not all, but like 1, maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. That was kind of my point. Maybe 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 of them win a championship.
I just meant for the future. Like I'm talking like 2020 and beyond. I think
No, I do agree with you there. They are definitely set up for the long term in Philly. Yeah. William, what do you think?
Whatever.
I mean, I don't think Boston, that city's going to win any major championship in the next 2 or 3 years. That's just what I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even. I know you hate the Patriots, but not even the Patriots?
No, they're done.
You think they're done?
They're done.
Let's wait and see what happens this offseason first.
And I will give you this though. I do like sort of the stigma that was lifted off of the Eagles with that Super Bowl. Maybe not necessarily the other Philly sports, but I love now that I don't have to go like, oh my God, something bad's going to happen. This is going too well right now. Like, that's cool that I don't have to think like that right now, at least not for the next couple of years.
I've honestly always viewed the Eagles. Maybe it's because I grew up watching them with Andy Reid earlier, with Donovan McNabb and all those teams being pretty good. But I've always viewed the Eagles, even though they've never won a Super Bowl, I've always viewed them as a contender. Maybe not when they were down, but at some point I thought they were going to win a Super Bowl.
They were easily the best franchise to never win a championship. A Super Bowl, easily. They couldn't seal the deal. It was embarrassing. It really
William
was.
Can make fun of me with this take all he wants because I know he makes fun of West Virginia all the time, but I view them as like a West Virginia. They're the best team to not win a championship in football.
I always say, why do my teams just yank my heart out every year? Just being an Eagles, and West Virginia fan, just whenever something's going really good, you're always just something's about to crash and burn. Yeah. Something's happening.
But I am a believer. I do think West Virginia at some point will win a national championship. I don't think it's within 5 years, but maybe 20 years down the road. Who knows?
But I don't know.
But anyway, so I guess I'll answer the poll question now. I am going to say that they changed, maybe not the perception, they've changed, that's not the right word for it. I think certainly the Eagles have changed the culture in Philly. Now, that's kind of, that winning a championship is kind of off their shoulders. They don't have to worry about that anymore. The city doesn't, so now they can expect other teams to pick up the slack. And like you said, they're set up for the long term. The future is very bright in Philadelphia, and I think the Eagles have definitely changed the culture there.
I won't argue with you.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to get away from sports a little bit and do some entertainment. The Oscars were this weekend. I know I didn't watch it. William, you said you didn't watch it, and assuming by that gesture, James didn't watch it either. But so some headlines. The Shape of Water won Best Picture. I don't know what the fuck that movie is. And I'll be totally... I mean, listen to this plot. The story... I got this off Wikipedia. The story follows a mute custodian at a high-security government laboratory who falls in love with a captured human-like amphibian creature. What a bunch of bullshit. That is not Best Picture. I saw 3 of the 9 nominated films. I saw 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I saw Darkest Hour. I saw Dunkirk. All of them were, I would say, significantly better films than The Shape of Water. Listen to the plots of these films. Darkest Hour, an early account of Winston Churchill's early days as Prime Minister as Nazi Germany swept across Western Europe and threatening to invade the United Kingdom during World War II. I saw it. It's a good movie. Dunkirk. It's basically the same thing. It's set in the same time frame. Bruins tied it up. Depicts the evacuation of Dunkirk during World War II through 3 perspectives, land, sea, and air, with little dialogue, and creates suspense through cinematography and music. I watched that that movie. It's incredibly loud. There is very little dialogue, but it felt like you were there. I was on my seat that entire movie. Then I watched 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This is more of my final thoughts as I give a movie review, but a mother rents 3 billboards to call attention to her daughter's murder. Basically calling out the police department for not doing her job. In all seriousness, did those movies sound a whole lot better than The Shape of Water?
The Shape of Water sounds like a cartoon, dude. Like the plot of it.
It honestly does. Show. It sounds like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
But to other headlines, Guillermo del Toro won Best Director for The Shape of Water. Gary Oldman, my guy, won Best Actor in Darkest Hour for his portrayal of Winston Churchill. He was actually really, really good in that movie. I did not expect him to be that good as Churchill. Frances McDormand won Best Actress for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. She was really good in that. Couldn't stand her character. She was kind of a bitch. But Sam Rockwell won Best Supporting Actor for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Like I said, I saw that this week. He was really good in it. I can't believe, have y'all seen him in anything? Do y'all know who he is? I think you'd recognize him if you saw him.
Who?
Sam Rockwell.
I know who that is.
Yeah. He was one of the antagonists in Iron Man 2. I can't believe that dude has an Oscar. But it was well-deserving. He was really good in that movie. Allison Janney won Best Supporting Actress for I, Tonya. I don't even know what that... I know it's about Tonya Harding, but I don't really know what her role is.
She was Tonya Harding's mom.
Oh, really?
My girlfriend crushed it. She said it was really good. So
okay. I know Margot Robbie was nominated for an Oscar. Jordan Peele won Best Original Screenplay for Get Out. I couldn't believe that movie was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, that was kind of weird to me, too.
Any of you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
I liked it, but
It's a good movie. And it was original. I think it deserved the Oscar it won.
Yeah.
But Best Picture, no. I don't think it should have been in there. But then again, Shape of Water won. So
so what do we know?
I would have been less shocked if Get Out won, to be honest with you.
Really? Then I'm not even going to say that last one. Those are the most important ones. I don't know. Do you guys have any takeaways? The Academy is bullshit, I assume.
Just the whole thing in general is a joke. I know, we agreed not to get into politics on this show, but, don't just lean so hard one way or the other when, everyone's supposed to watch it and enjoy it. You're literally isolating half the country. Let's just watch the freaking awards without you, trying to make half the people watching it feel like they're pieces of shit. That's all. I don't even care what your stance is. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Stupid.
They're there to entertain, in my opinion. William, you got anything to add?
No, I 100% agree. Just keep the politics out of entertainment.
I just thought of. I know James. Obviously, one of our foundations of our friendship was "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia," and I know William's a fan too. I thought of that episode when I think it's the Freaky, not the Freaky Friday, the zombie episode with the McPoyle wedding, and Max says, "You know the Academy, Charlie. It's atrocious." That's just what I think. Yeah, it's atrocious. That's just what I thought of. But staying with entertainment, TV shows. Y'all watch any recently? Any new ones? William?
Yeah, it actually comes on tonight.
Atlanta?
With,
Yeah, you've told me to watch that.
From Community. That season 1 is so funny, and then season 2 is there's only been one episode. Tonight's the second episode. That show's very fun and underrated. It comes on FX.
Yeah, you've been telling me to watch that, and Donald Glover is in that show, and I've been watching him in Community. He's actually really funny in Community. I love that show. I'm only about 5 or 6 episodes in, but it's really funny. James, what about you?
Have you ever watched Workaholics, Shane?
I've watched a few episodes. It's pretty funny.
Dude, it's literally like me and my girlfriend came to the realization, like it's Always Sunny, like
but in an office,
a little bit younger guys without dating. Like the plots are like very similar, like their jokes and stuff. Like, dude, you have to watch it. It might be funnier than It's Always Sunny. All jokes aside, it's so funny.
That's a hot take.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely a show worth watching.
Dude, I watched one episode.
The past 2 months straight. It's so funny.
I watched one episode a few years ago. It was on Comedy Central, so I turned it on. It was pretty funny. I laughed a little bit. I need to add that to my shows I need to watch.
Put on season 1, episode 9. It's the funniest episode.
Oh, I wrapped up New Girl. I got caught up with New Girl. Very funny show, even though you wouldn't get it with the title since it's called New Girl. But William has told me about it. I think it's hilarious. Most of the characters are men in that show, even though it's called New Girl.
Yeah, New Girl is so funny, and everyone thinks it's
not a girl show at all.
It is very funny.
I remember I was watching it. My dad was like, "You're watching a girl show?" I was like, "No, it's not a girl show at all. It's really split." I mean, it's just really funny. Most of the characters are males, and even I don't usually like women in comedy roles. I don't know why I just don't find them funny sometimes. Some are. I shouldn't be sexist. Some are. I think Tina Fey in 30 Rock is very funny. What's her name? Julia Louis-Dreyfus in Veep and Seinfeld is very funny. But Zoe Deschanel, I think is her name. She's hilarious in New Girl. William, I thought you would have more to say, but
well, I mean,
that's why I paused.
You kind of nailed everything. Like it's a good show. It seems like a girl show, but it's a bunch of male characters, and they're all pretty funny. Obviously, Schmidt is the funniest one. He just has those
Nick's the funny one. Schmidt's funny though.
Make you laugh.
James, you usually do the poll question recap from last week. You want to do that again?
I'll run through it real quick. How many college basketball coaches do you think will be implicated in the FBI recruiting scandal? I don't think that's the right word you used, but most people said 5+, and I would agree with that pretty wholeheartedly. It's going to be probably 20+ teams. Who won the Marcus Peters trade? 100% of people said the Rams. That one was also obvious. What country was the most disappointing in the 2018 Winter Olympics? I think people were with me there and just said the U.S. because they didn't really know shit else about.
I think you said Russia after I told you they only got 17 medals.
But that was a guess. Like it wasn't. I think people just said U.S. because of familiarity.
My whole point is Russia. It's winter all the time, and we outperform them, and we're a mostly warm weather country.
Exactly my point. But how do the injuries to Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard impact their respective teams? Almost everyone said very much. That one's pretty obvious. I think they're both top 15 players.
We actually got a lot of activity on that one.
Yeah, it's 59 votes. That's
to us, William. That's a lot.
And after the NHL trade deadline, which player that was traded will make the biggest impact on their new team? And 60% of people said Rick Nash. I bet you like that, don't you, Shane? He's on the Bruins, right?
Love it, man. Love me some Rick Nash on that second line with David Krejci. Love it.
Definitely think Evander Kane is going to be the better one. He had 21 goals.
Evander Kane's very underrated. I know William's kind of our hockey guy. I don't know very many hockey guys we can bring on the show. William's the only one I know.
I have a good friend who likes hockey.
Do you?
But
Well, we can bring him on too when we do Stanley
he's
Cup.
on WP's hockey team.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's one of my best friends from high school.
Awesome. Yeah, we should definitely try to bring him on when the Stanley Cup playoffs rolls around. Him and William.
Yeah.
So now we're just gonna get into final thoughts. I don't know. Do you guys have anything major? No final thoughts from you, James.
Kind of got it out.
You kind of got it out.
I kind of got it all throughout the show.
William, we thought maybe you might have something. You wanted to ramble about your Caps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can ramble on about the Caps. Just trying not to do that. But, I mean, Caps, they always fold. They fold as soon as the playoffs start. And for some reason, we thought January would be the perfect time to start losing. I mean, we were on, like, winning streaks, 3, 4, 4, 5 in November and December. And then now we're losing more than we win. And it's annoying to me. And we're falling up, and somehow Alex Ovechkin is he's leading the league in NHL goals, but we still can't manage to win games. And it doesn't make sense. And our goaltender Braden Holtby is he's falling apart as well. I think his saving percentage is 90.4%, which is horrible.
Yeah, I know I give you a hard time with the Caps all the time, but I do honestly view them as like the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think they can win a championship. They just can't put it together. All right,
yeah,
so now
everyone on that team just can't pass the second round. Ovechkin and Trout.
Yeah.
Trout.
So now I guess I'll get into my final thoughts. Finally, I get to go last. I don't think I've ever gotten to go last in our final thoughts segments. James always takes the last slot. But so basically, mine's just a movie review of 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I heard a lot about this movie. This plot sounded intriguing, but I was a little bit skeptical. It's basically about a woman who thinks the police department is not doing an adequate enough job investigating the murder of her daughter. So she rents these 3 billboards, essentially calling them out, and the police department doesn't like it. So I was kind of skeptical because I thought it would be anti-cop, and I don't like that. And it was at the beginning, but I had heard it change. The views change, and it did, thankfully. 30 minutes into it, it was very anti-cop. I have here anti-police in the first 30 minutes. McDormand's character was a bitch, and Sam Rockwell was portrayed as a hothead, just racist cop. And I was like, this better change quickly. I'm going to walk out. And I don't walk out of movies. But it was actually a really good cast. I already named some of them. Frances McDormand, Sam Rockwell, both won Oscars. Woody Harrelson and Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. Harrelson was nominated for an Oscar as well. But interesting movie. But without giving anything away, those views at the beginning do change. McDormand, you gain some sympathy with her since her daughter died, and you see more of the behind-the-scenes story. Not behind the scenes, but kind of what led up to her daughter's death, and you see why she feels so bad and why she wants the police department to investigate. And then with Harrelson, you kind of get a insight or a perspective into how tough it is being a cop. Handling the job and family life, and then how some cases just you can't solve them. There's no witnesses, there's no DNA, that kind of thing. And that's what Harrelson's point of view is when he tells McDormand why they haven't found any suspects at the beginning. And then Sam Rockwell, he kind of starts off like Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. He's had some bad luck. He's made some bad decisions. The whole town hates him. So he just kind of embraces it and says, fuck it, I don't really care anyway. But he does go through a character change, and you find out he's actually a really good guy. And he starts taking the job more seriously. And he starts doing his job and investigates the murder a little bit more. Really good movie. Great acting, great plot, some great lines in the movie. And it's kind of a dark comedy, which I really like. It's like Fargo. What are some other movies? Like anything almost Tarantino, like Inglourious Bastards, and what's the other one with Django? It's kind of like that. It's really dark, but there are some comedic moments, and that's kind of what Rockwell's there for in the movie. I didn't care for the ending. It wasn't great. It kind of let you hanging and open-ended, which isn't always the bad thing or a bad thing. But I give it a solid 8.2 out of 10. Keep in mind, I gave Black Panther a 7.7. I'm tough on movies. I never think a movie is 10 out of 10 or a 9.9 out of 10, but 8.2 is solid for me. I recommend it. If you guys want to go see a movie, I recommend 3 Billboards.
No, I do need you to see it. I heard it was good too.
It's good. I recommend it.
But all right, boys.
Yeah, William, thank you, my friend, for coming on.
Man.
Yeah.
Hey, no problem, man. It's fun.
Yeah, we've been meaning to get you on the show. Glad you finally did. Or not finally did. Glad you accepted it on just a few hours of notice.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to.
It wasn't that bad.
We'll be sure to fix that later on. Maybe we'll have you on when we get closer to the draft to talk about the Giants and that pick. See what they do. And if they trade it beforehand, we'll definitely have to have you on.
For sure.
All right, so yeah, you guys have a good weekend. Viewers, I hope you have a good weekend. Let's go Mountaineers.
All right.
Go Mountaineers.